For company background, Pfizer was founded in 1849 in Brooklyn, New York by Charles P. Pfizer and Charles F. Earhart as a small chemical company. Its first successful product was Santonin, a treatment for instantaneous worms, which helped build the Pfizer's reputation for reliable chemical production. During the Civil War, the company expanded into painkillers and antiseptic, supporting its growth. By the mid-20th century, Pfizer focused mainly on pharmaceuticals and became a major producer of penicillin during World War II, strengthening its scientific and manufacturing capabilities. After World War II, Pfizer expanded internationally and became a multinational pharmaceutical company. It established research and manufacturing facilities worldwide and developed important medicines in areas such as antibiotics, cardiovascular disease, and vaccines. Strategic partnership and acquisition further strengthened its global presence and product portfolio. Next, Pfizer vision, mission, and core values. Pfizer's vision is to be a leading pharmaceutical company that improves patients' life and global health. Its goal is to develop innovative medicines and vaccines that address unmet medical needs while creating a long-term value for patients, healthcare systems, and shareholders. Pfizer's core values include innovation, integrity, collaboration, patient-focused care, and accountability. The company also emphasizes sustainability, ethical practices, equal access to medicines, and long-term contributions to global public health.
This case study looked at how Pfizer, a global pharmaceutical company, managed scientific innovation, business decision, ethics, and trust in a highly regulated industry. It showed how Pfizer became a leading global pharmaceutical company through strong research, worldwide growth, and partnership. This study also talks about key challenges Pfizer faces, such as drug pricing, following regulation, good corporate governance, and public health responsibilities. Overall, it gives a clear framework for understanding strategic management, ethics, and stakeholder interests in real life and business situations. It helped future managers see how pharmaceutical companies balance making money with doing what's ethical and good for society. Now we arrive at personal analysis. For our group, we already identified under political segment, there are a threat faced by Pfizer. In the US, rising healthcare costs have increased pressure on the government to control drug price. This results in policies such as California Proposition 61, which aim to limit the price the state that could pay for the prescription drugs. This political action could affect and reduce Pfizer's ability and also the revenue in the US market. Under the economic segment, we identified two main threats for Pfizer. First, the cost of developing new drugs is rising, making it more expensive to bring a drug to market. Second, Pfizer depends heavily on its drug pricing to grow revenue. Around 34% of its revenue growth over 3 years come from increasing prices on existing drugs, especially those close to losing their patent. This makes Pfizer vulnerable if pricing rules tighten for competition increase. In the social segment, Pfizer faced threats from public anger over rising drug prices, negative views of Big Pharma, and loss of trust due to media reports on pricing scandal. At the same time, Pfizer has the opportunity to focus on innovation, value-based strategies, allowing the company to meet societal expectations for affordability and ethical practice. We move to the technological segment. Pfizer has two main opportunities. First, the highly orchestrated supply network Hosun allow real-time monitoring of the supply chain, which improve the traceability, ensuring compliance and supporting business continuity. Second, Pfizer R&D organization drive innovation in areas like oncology, vaccine, immunology, and rare disease, using advanced science and strategic partnership to accelerate research and development. Under the environmental segment, Pfizer has the opportunity to demonstrate sustainability by reducing its environmental impact. For example, the company has cut greenhouse gas emission by nearly 50% through its environmental initiative. Under the legal segment, Pfizer threats from Under the legal segment, Pfizer faced threats from US healthcare regulation, including the Affordable Care Act (ACA), mandatory rebates, Medicare discounts, and regulatory fees reduced Pfizer's revenue by USD 361 million and increased costs by USD 362 million. On the opportunity side, FDA requirement for serialized products could improve traceability across the supply chain, enhancing compliance and operational efficiency.
Next, I will explain Porter's 5 forces analysis for Pfizer. First, the threat of new entrants is low. The pharmaceutical industry has very high barriers to entry, including large R&D investments, expensive clinical trials, strict regulatory requirements, and long approval timelines. These factors make it difficult for new companies to compete with established firms like Pfizer. Second, the power of supply is generally low to moderate. Pfizer can source most raw materials from multiple suppliers, allowing it to switch suppliers without major cost increase. Even though some specialized inputs give certain suppliers more influence, overall supplier power remains limited. Third, the power of buyers is low to moderate. Individual patients have little influence over prices, while large buyers such as hospital, insurers, and governments have stronger bargaining power. However, Pfizer's patent drug and strong brand reputation reduce buyers' ability to demand lower prices. Fourth, the threat of substitute is moderate. Generic drugs can replace Pfizer's product once patents expired, offering lower cost alternative. This increased substitution risk, especially for mature product. Finally, industry competition is high. Pfizer faces a strong rivalry from major global pharmaceutical companies, which increase pressure on pricing, innovation, and market share.
Next, I will explain the external and internal analysis calculations using the EFE and IFE metrics. Starting with the external factor evaluation EFE metrics, this analysis looks at the opportunities and threats faced by the company. For opportunities, strict regulatory standards act as an entry barrier which benefits established companies, giving it a weighted score of 0.40. The growing demand for innovative medicines is the strongest opportunity with a higher weight and a weighted score of 0.60. Technological advancement in healthcare and rising environmental awareness also support long-term growth, contributing positively to the total score. For threats, government intervention in drug pricing and increasing healthcare regulations increase operating costs and reduce profit margins. Public backlash and reputational risks, especially related to pricing and ethical concerns, receive the lowest rating. Competition from generics and biosimilars remains a significant threat as it reduces market exclusivity. Overall, the total EFE score is 2.50, which indicates that the company is moderately effective in responding to external opportunities and threats. Moving on to the internal factor evaluation IFE metrics. This focuses on the company's strengths and weaknesses. In terms of strength, the company has a strong global brand reputation and strong R&D capabilities, both rated highly and contributing significantly to the total score. Its global operations, supply chain, and strategic growth through acquisition further strengthen its competitive position. However, there are several weaknesses. These include over-reliance on older drugs nearing patent expiration, high litigation and regulatory exposure, and dependence on blockbuster drugs for revenue. These factors increase risk and affect long-term sustainability. The total IFE score is 2.85, which shows that the company has a strong internal position and is able to leverage its strength to offset its weaknesses. In conclusion, while the company faces external challenges, its strong internal capabilities place it in a good position to remain competitive and pursue future growth.
So moving on to the competitors analysis. So based on the competitive profile metrics, Pfizer records a CPM score of 2.8, showing strong financial capacity and global reach. However, it underperforms in comparison to its competitors in terms of brand reputation and innovation effectiveness. So past reliance on blockbuster drugs and pricing strategies has led to public criticism, patent challenges, and increased regulatory scrutiny, which weakens its competitive position. Moving on to Merck & Co. with a CPM score of 3.00 holds a more balanced position. The company performs consistently in terms of research and development, regulatory compliance, along with brand reputation, with fewer pricing controversies in comparison with Pfizer. So its focus on oncology and specialty drugs strengthens its pipelines, although it lacks the global innovation leadership of Novartis. Novartis, on the other hand, emerges as its strongest competitor with a CPM score of 3.80. So this shows that it excels in research and development, regulatory efficiency, and financial strength. So its robust oncology and specialty drug pipeline, combined with strong regulatory alignment, allows Novartis to sustain innovation leadership and outperforms both Pfizer and Merck in an increasingly regulated pharmaceutical environment. So what the recommendation that Pfizer can do is that Pfizer should strengthen its competitive position by shifting from price-driven growth to innovation and value-based strategies. So by investing in innovative therapies, partnerships, and biosimilars, which is biological drugs, while prioritizing ethical pricing and patient access, Pfizer can improve sustainability and narrow the competitive gap with Novartis.
Next, I will explain the SWOT model, which analyzes the company's strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Starting with strength, the company is one of the largest pharmaceutical manufacturers in the world, supported by a strong global brand reputation and consistent revenue performance. It also has strong R&D capabilities, which can be seen through the rapid development of innovative medicines. In addition, its global operations and extensive supply chain network allow the company to reach multiple markets and remain resilient. Strategic growth through acquisitions and partnerships further strengthen its competitive position. Moving on to weaknesses, the company is highly reliant on older and blockbuster drugs such as Lipitor and also Viagra, many of which are nearing patent expiration. This exposes the company to revenue decline. There is also complexity in planning and executing employee training programs such as the Explorer training program. Furthermore, the company faces high litigation and regulatory exposure due to its global operation and past legal cases. Next are the opportunities. There is an increasing global demand for healthcare and pharmaceutical products driven by aging populations and rising health awareness. Advancement in healthcare technologies present opportunities to improve innovation and operational efficiency. The growing focus on environmental sustainability also allows the company to enhance its corporate image. Additionally, strict regulatory standards act as an entry barriers, limiting new competitors. Lastly, the threats include strict FDA and regulatory requirements which affect drug pricing and profitability. Tighter healthcare rules and rising compliance costs continue to pressure margins. The company also faced intense competition from both major pharmaceutical firms and generic manufacturers. Lastly, public and political pressure against drug price increases possess reputational and financial risks.
In conclusion, Pfizer has a strong internal position with robust R&D, a global brand, and extensive supply chain and growth through acquisitions and partnerships, providing a foundation for innovation and long-term competitiveness. Externally, the company faces a competitive and regulated market with pressures from drug pricing controls, compliance costs, public scrutiny, and generics. Opportunities lie in rising demand for innovative medicines, technological advancement, sustainability initiatives, and regulatory barriers that limit new entrants. To strengthen its position, Pfizer should shift to innovation and value-based strategies, invest in R&D, form strategic partnerships, and prioritize ethical pricing and patient-centric programs to ensure sustainable growth.